guys, today we're going to talk about our racing classes for SCDRL. So the first class up, it's our most popular class. It's called Top Eliminator. And right here you can see the different indexes that we have within that class. So this is a great class for all HO slot cars, but we do have a limit on how fast you can go or how slow you can go. So if your car runs quicker than a 0.4 or slower than a 1.599, it will be automatically in one of those classes and you'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage. But we can talk a little bit more about that later, or that will make more sense to you later on. But the way this works is we have each index within our Top Eliminator class is a 1/10 of a second increment. So the way it's going to work is we will receive your cars and we will run 2 seeding passes, okay? And let's say that your car runs a 105 and a 106. So your car would be in the 10 to 1099 class, okay? And ideally you want your car to run as close to that bottom side of the bracket or of the index as possible. But there is also a risk of breaking out of that class, which a lot of people ask, what's a breakout? Well, a breakout means that you went faster than what your index is. If you do that, you lose the run, basically. Like, you'll lose that round unless your opponent breaks out more than you did. The computer system figures all of that stuff out, but ideally you want to be running toward the bottom of your index. So in this 1.0 class, you would want to be 101, 102. And if your car's running 108s and 109s, then yeah, it's going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, and you could either slow it down to make it go into the 1.1 class or 1.1 index, or speed it up a little bit. Those are things that you guys will need to work with us on, whether or not you want us to perform maintenance on the car or add parts or remove parts from it to make it slower or faster. But for this video, we're just kind of explaining how all of this works. One factor we don't have here is in normal bracket racing, you're at the track, you're telling the race director what you want your bracket index to be, or dial in. That's what we call it in bracket racing. But we have created this index window so that all these cars can race together. And we're going to be taking 16 random cars to make each group. So if we end up with 32 cars entered in the class, we will have 2 groups. We'll run them completely separately. There'll be a winner of each group, and they'll receive their prizes and all of that stuff. But we will be picking the cars at random, so it's very possible that you could have a very slow car running a very fast car, and that's not to be worried about, because the computer system here, after we run those cars, we will put in the index that they're in. So this car here in the left lane is in a 1-second index, and that's going to be this white funny car. And then we have a V-spec car here that is running 0.4 of a second quicker. So because we have this set up in the software, it will drop the tree 0.4 of a second head start to the slower car, and whoever gets to the finish line first will take the win. So we can go ahead and just for an example here, we can run these 2 cars. So we're going to get them staged up, and you can see now both cars are staged. I'm going to hit enter, and the system is going to take over and control this race. So it will automatically make the cars go as soon as it goes green, and we'll see who gets the win. So once again, 1-second bracket for the funny car, which means it can run, but 1 second or slower essentially. You wouldn't want it to be running 1.1s. If it was, we would have that set up as its index. But here we go. We'll watch them run, watch the tree. You can see the stagger. And at the line, the V-spec car took the win. So the V-spec car with a finish margin of 1/10,000th of a second. You almost can't get any closer than that. I mean, that's amazing. This data here, we have the reaction time, which we have found that the faster cars do react faster. We're talking about about 2 10,000ths of a second right there. You have your ET690. So this car is at the top side of its 600 dial-in or index, and this car ran a 1089, which it also is at the top side. So both of those cars definitely have room for improvement. They can go quite a bit lower within their index, but that was a good example of how a slower car and a faster car can run, and it really came down to 1 10,000th of a second. And it's all controlled by the system here. So if there's any questions that you guys have about how that works, or you're worried about not knowing where your car is going to be, just send it to us and we'll run it, and that'll seed it, and that'll set it where it goes. You do get 2 passes. We will take the quicker of the 2. We're not going to take an average. We're going to take the quicker of the 2. We try to make sure everything is as controlled as possible. The track is clean before the race, and there's a bunch of other precautions that we're taking to keep everything as simple as possible. But most of that will be covered in our rules and procedures video, which is going to be another video, so I suggest checking that out. But that's pretty much it for the top eliminator class. The other 4 classes that we have, we're calling top fuel. So because there's different types of slot cars out there, we couldn't just have one top fuel class, because the inline cars like the Viper, the Wizard, the RPMs, even Tycos, Tomies, they would just dominate over the 3 and 4 gear cars. So what we did was we split it into 4. We have a top fuel 3 gear class. Okay, so that's going to be your magnet tractions, your non-magnet tractions, could even be a T-jet. Basically anything that has 3 gears over on the top plate. I know there's probably going to be people that are going to say, well, the cluster gear has 2 and there's a crown gear. You know what? Don't even send us anything. Like what a 3 gear car is, just as you know what a 4 gear car is. And if you don't, that's why we're having this video for you too. So top fuel 3 gear, no Lexan bodies, needs to be a hard plastic body. Something that's molded, cast, resin, not a vacuum formed Lexan body. That's not allowed in that class. Top fuel 4 gear, pretty much anything 4 gear, okay? Just no Lexan body. But if you want to run the Auto World Dragster, if you want to run an Auto World Funny Car body, you want to run a custom body from any of the other resin manufacturers that make custom bodies, 660 slots, any of those are all fair game. Just no Lexan vacuum formed bodies for that class. Next is going to be our top fuel hard body class. So that's top fuel inline. I guess you could run a 4 gear in that class if you want to, if it's fast enough. But your top fuel hard body is going to be your Vipers, your G3s, your Wizards, your RPMs. But they have to have a hard body on them. So they need to have a hard plastic body, no Lexan. Those cars can run 100 miles an hour or more. I've seen it before, so should be pretty exciting. And then our last class is just straight top fuel. Any of those cars can be entered into that, but you also could race up against a Lexan bodied funny car, a Lexan bodied wedge. Anything goes, it just needs to have a body on it. So those classes are probably going to be smaller fields, but they will be for bragging rights. I mean, we're going to be broadcasting this all over the place. We're going to have YouTube video, Facebook, like everybody's going to know what's fast and what's not fast. So those are the 5 classes that we have. They all run on 18 volts. Hopefully, there's not too many questions from this video. Hopefully we did a good job explaining to you guys what we're going to be running. But if you do have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments or email us at support@viperscaleRacing.com. we'll do our best to answer your questions. So be sure to check out our rules and procedures video as well. That'll hopefully, it's basically just a verbal video about our written rules on how we race and why we do what we do. And so check it out. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Take it easy.